What's going on, YouTube? You're tuned into the No Level Cap podcast. This week, we're reviewing Forsaken Realms, Vahrin's Call.
Yo, welcome back to the No Level Cap podcast, where we cover all things anime, all things gaming, all things nerd culture, with none of the BS. I am your host, Sage Ashford. These are my co-hosts, Rajhkeem Beck and Terrence Flowers. This week, like Terrence said, we are doing something a little different as we dive into the world of Forsaken Realms, Vahrin's Call, with an early review. We'd like to thank Titan Rock and specifically Robin for the early review copies. This has been an interesting experience for us as we try something new. Maybe you'll see a few more of these, hopefully, in the near future. But let's not waste no time, man. Rajhkeem, let's start with this. How many hours did you play, and what did you play it on? PC, laptop, Steam Deck, whatever.
Yes, I played about 14, no, maybe it's 15 hours, close to 15, 14 hours. And I played on my gaming laptop and on my Steam Deck so far. Those are two areas I played. It feels like it's much longer than that because I played this very late. I was getting off work and I played from like 8 to 1 in the morning multiple times. So
Hey, man,
it feels like a short amount of time, but to me, it feels like I was playing a lot. But I got a lot out of a short amount of time. I will say that.
So yeah, I got about 17 hours into the game, just a little bit more than Rajhkeem. I wanted to play last night. I got caught up in work, and same thing with this morning. I do plan on playing it a little bit more after the fact, which should give you a little bit of an idea of what I think about it so far. And I played mine on purely on PC. I don't have a Steam Deck or anything like that, so I just went raw PC. I am glad. How did it run on Steam Deck?
I'll be honest, it wasn't looking too good. When I tried it on Steam Deck, it ran, but even on the high settings, visual fidelity was clearly like not the same quality as the PC. And then I even ran some weird graphical glitches, like the RGB lines you see on TV screens back in the day when they were out.
Ooh.
Like I saw that in the corner for some reason. The frame rate was okay, but not. And even when I played it, it felt like the delay was a little in the buttons in pressing for attacks was a little bit more delayed. Honestly, I would just play this on PC right now. I don't know if it's optimized for Steam Deck, so I don't know how they're going about that because a lot of companies they'll do the Steam Deck optimization later. After the game already comes out, they'll do a Steam Deck update, kind of like you do like a console port.
Right.
So far, I would rather just play this on PC. Comparatively on PC, it ran much better for me. Much, much better.
I never had any problems with it on PC. I did get multiple updates. I mean, the game, obviously, it wasn't out yet it's not officially out yet as we're playing it. So, there would be times where I would stop playing and maybe an hour later I would get, because I'm in the creator channel in their Discord, and it would be like, hey, we just updated the game again and we've made these fixes and stuff like that. But I never really ran into any bugs, and it ran seemingly fine. Like, I had one hitch when I first opened the game. Like, the first time I downloaded it and tried to play it, it like kind of hitched up on me, and I was like, oh, that's weird. I closed it out, opened it back up again, had no problems after that. It loads up shaders pretty fast. There aren't that many shaders to begin with, so it's not like it's compiling a shit ton of work. So but yeah, I mean, like, as far as performance, I haven't had any problems whatsoever. So let's just go ahead and get to the big question. Rajhkeem, top level thoughts. What did you think of Vahrin's Call?
Top level thoughts off the top of my head. My first impression of this game coming out the gate when I first played it was, I don't know. I was kind of iffy on it. It felt like, when you go into the game, you get the feeling of classic fantasy RPG out the gate. Fable comes to mind in comparisons, but when you actually get to the gameplay, you actually get some Souls DNA. Like, it actually has like kind of the same kind of attack, stamina, health system, the health potions, the level design. Very influenced by Souls like style game design. where everything loops back into itself. Top down, they do a very good job of using all of your terrain. You should really pay attention in this game of everything in your surroundings. But when I first played it at the beginning, you don't have a lot. You just have a sword and a bow. I felt like the combat just wasn't exactly where I wanted it to be. It felt like it was a little delayed for me with the button presses. I did comparative like presses to like see the difference. It was much worse on Steam Deck for me than it was on my laptop, where I felt like on my laptop the delay wasn't that bad, but it just felt kind of weird. Enemies came in two varieties. They were either really, really aggressive, and I mean they would jump in you and they come around corners like out of nowhere. They happen all the time playing this. Like you be walking and then you see three dudes and they get behind you so fast.
Yeah.
Like you get circled, which actually is kind of cool. They surround you. So like you can't just do the one at a time thing. You gotta be ready. But in some cases, like I found when I did long range combat, I had the opposite where they would stand there and like,
just take it.
You far away from me.
I didn't realize that until very recently. Like because my bow was like, I would only kind of use my bow a little bit. And then I got pretty deep into the game and I was like, man, my bow is really under leveled, which we'll get into that later. And I was like, let me try this bow out. And man, it's just like what you said. They just take it.
Bro.
They don't make any move to come get you, nothing.
When I say now I'm the complete opposite. I use my bow the whole time. Heck, there was some places I was only using the bow. Because it was just it was so advantageous to have distance on certain types of enemies. There are certain enemies in this game that, like, when they close in on you, they rough. What comes to mind, like those big insectoid kind of monsters when they're up close to you. I've got the name of them are, but they come out the ground, they dig under, they jump out, and then you have like those big dudes with the clubs and shields, and they basically resist damage. So like being close to them is not going to work too well for you. In the beginning, like going back to my original point, in the beginning, I felt kind of like iffy about it. I felt like the combat's kind of the character models are a little weak. The graphics for the character models aren't that great. But I will say, once I got into the overworld, the tutorial was very straightforward. I've never seen a more straightforward tutorial in my life. It was giant sign, attack. Giant sign, go this way. Run into the boss fight. Boss fight was very basic. But when I got to the overworld, that's when this game shines in its exploration. When you get out into the overworld and you get lost in it, you actually have fun getting lost. You have like I call the Elden Ring view, where you look at certain points and you go there because they look cool, which I think is a great way to design a video game. Make the player want to go somewhere because it looks interesting. You see a cottage in the distance. What's going on in that cottage? You might find somebody over there give you a quest or something like that. Or you see a giant tower. What's going on in that tower? Maybe something's going on in the tower you want to find out about. And as I was adventuring and exploring, the hours just went by so fast. I told Sage I played like 5 or 6 hours straight, didn't even realize it. I think one day I came home from work. I got home at like 7. I started like 8 o'clock playing, and I didn't stop till like 1 a.m. because I was just like exploring. I was finding caves and hidden places, whole sections with side bosses and secret areas where you can find new spells, and there was overlapping areas where you would get quest objectives for one quest and then maybe an item for another quest in some places. In the scenery, so many hidden things in the scenery, and even the quests themselves. Like we won't talk too much about a lot of the main quest stuff, but the side quests got really more interesting as I played too, because once you get into the side quests, you realize it's more. There's little things in the area that are kind of like how do I say this? There are little things in the area that give you environmental storytelling. So you might see something where you're in a city and you can clearly see this urban decay. The world had this city specifically has gone through some war. They've been set upon. There's a lot of issues going on here, and so it reflects in the city itself. The underworld is kind of coming up. People are taking advantage of people. People are kicking people out of homes and getting murdered, and it's like a lawlessness about the land, and it's reflected in the quests, the side quests, the characters you run into. So all of that is very intriguing. And then on top of that, once I get into the first dungeon I played, the very first dungeon which I believe is like a mine.
Yeah.
That's when this game shines. It was so well designed and interesting. There was never a point where I was bored playing these dungeons. Now I will say, depends on what type of game you like, because you're gonna do some platforming in this game. You're gonna do some platforming in this game. You're gonna do some puzzles in this game. There's some dodging traps. There's a lot of traps in this game. You got a lot of everything. Traps, puzzles, platforming. There's a lot of boss fights. There's hidden bosses in areas. Yesterday I finished all the bounty quests where there's like bounties you can do. But overall, it grew on me over time. I did a complete 180 where I kind of felt iffy. So now I'm gonna play this today after we get done. Like, I like this. So top thoughts. It's a game that is a little rough around the edges. There are some things that can be refined, maybe in the combat, the graphics, but the soul of this game, there's some very smart level design. There's some cues to people who understand like old school style RPGs and why people like them, but also putting some new school trimmings. I think it's just enough. Like, it has some FromSoft DNA, but it's not punishingly hard. No. Although I will say there were some cheap deaths I had falling off of some holes. I fell on a lot of holes. By the way, I got to bring this up. Man, that death screen is amazing. Developers, if y'all see this review, that death screen with the random text, I died multiple times to see what will pop up. It was a new thing every time. I don't think I've had a repeat yet. I think I played 15 hours. I don't know if there was a repeat yet. I was checking, like, I died, like, I started dying on purpose just to see, like, what does it say this time? It's different. Ever since like the Arkham games, you know, where they had the guys mock you, and this is a little bit of that. It's like a play on the "you died" screen, but with funnier text.
Which they makes always you're gonna feel that one, or you can't fix this with a potion or some shit like that.
It was like, or some shit like, well, you're finna go for a long sleep. Don't worry, you got to take a nap, come back, something like that. Like, very clever. I like that. I really like that point. But yeah, top thoughts. Really enjoying this game. It's not perfect. It has some trimmings. This is definitely a smaller scope open world game than, you know, like some of the bigger, broader AAA ones. But for what it's doing, I am enjoying it and I like it a lot.
What would you give it? Let's just go ahead and get that part out of the way and then we'll dive deeper.
Oh, off the top of my head, I'm really between a 7.5 and an 8. That's where I felt like. But I'm leaning 8 because I'm just enjoying it so much. Like, it definitely has it feels like a game, I would say personally, this feels like a game that has room to grow with another installment. I would love to see a sequel to this. I think the bones here are so good that if they lay on top of this with improvements in every area, you got a slam dunk game, like a big one. So I'm gonna lean 8 because I even last night when I was playing, I played so late. I gotta go to bed. I gotta go to bed. Even last night when I was playing, I was enjoying it so much. When I got to a certain place, got this really cool armor set and this weapon. I was like, man, I found a hidden weapon and shield in a certain area I won't talk about. Overall, I was having so much fun despite the game's flaws, and there are some flaws. Unlike your version, Sage, I did have a few bugs. I had one bug where I fell through the scenery, and in the very beginning of the game, it never occurred again. And then I had a few hitches, and I did encounter a bug where I was locked out of using my weapon in attacking. It had this bug where I would disarm myself, like I would pull out my lantern. I pulled out my lantern by accident, try to put it down, and then I couldn't equip my weapon again. But once I restarted my save, it fixed it. So that was the only bugs I ran into. I'm not sure, but I hope they can fix that bug. I don't know what caused that. But yeah, I'm a lean 8. I'm liking what I'm playing. It has enough rough edges where I can't rank it higher than that. I think there's still room for improvement. I would like some improvements in the combat. I would like to see maybe a slight improvement in the graphics if they do another rendition of this. And just some expansion on maybe some more story stuff to understand how that goes. But just overall, in general, I liked it. So that's my opinion.
I fall in along the same lines. I think this is a game that punches well above its weight class. I think I saw this game 3 or 4 years ago at one of the random, dozens of game reveal trailers, game reveal press conferences we have now. And when I first saw it, I said, "Oh man, this looks pretty cool." and I saw the potential. But you never know with any game, let alone indie games, which often come out and they're lacking the polish, to even see them as like, oh, well, it's good if you consider the budget. But no, this is everything I imagined that it could be when I first saw the trailer. It is a fun, surprisingly charming open world RPG that you can lose yourself in for dozens of hours, I would assume. I'm 17 hours in. There are so many side quests that I haven't seen. There are so many places, like I've been to a lot of places. I'm not, we're still embargoed to a point where there's certain things I can't talk about, but the places that I've been, there's still certain, like, you can see on the map, like, it'll let you know, like, okay, this is how many chests you found, this is how many skill books you found, this is how many of the weird, they call them Ganami, yeah, but it's like, clearly they mean gnome.
Oh my goodness.
They'll let you know how many you found, and each area, I've yet to, like, 100% each area. And so there's side quests and all types of stuff. And so I'm at 17 hours. I think that they said it could run between 15 and 30. I could easily see me putting in somewhere between 35 and 40 hours to finish this game, 100% this game.
Absolutely.
Yeah, like Keem said, the combat is solid. It's not amazing, but there is a stunning amount of customization there. You level up. Not only do you level up your character, but you also level up, like, it's in a way like Elder Scrolls, Skyrim type stuff, where like you level up different skills based on what you do in battle, what you do outside of battle. You can level up like your alchemy just from like I've leveled up from taking potions, like drinking potions and stuff, and it'll be like, hey, you leveled up your alchemy skill, and it's like, okay, that's cool. You can level up your fire magic by using a bunch of fire spells, ice magic from ice spells, bows, all that stuff, and then you can customize further from that. The graphics, they're not top notch, but the art design and stylization make it fun to look at. Like it really does have its own unique style that doesn't look like anything else. Me and Keem talked about it the other night. He was like, it's not a dark fantasy, even though there are dark elements to it. It feels more fairy tale-ish, more fable inspired. Like there are elements of it where it's just like kind of like you walk into an area and there's a giant fucking pumpkin or whatever, and you're like, what the fuck is this? So it has a little whimsy to it, even if it is a sort of darker game. And, one thing that I want to say that stands out above everything else, aside from the exploration, which is very good, like the exploration is some of the best I've experienced of any RPG in recent memory. But one thing that does stand out really well to me is the voice acting. I was like, man, what's the voice acting in this game? Like, it's way better than you would expect of an indie JRPG, of an indie open world RPG like this. Like, I'm like, every time I'm listening to like a new cutscene, I'm like, man, y'all putting a lot on this. Like, hold on now. Like, no one sounds bad, and everyone sounds at a baseline of good, and sometimes they sound better than good. And I'm like, oh, this is impressive, and it does help you pull you into the game, and it lets you know the amount of passion that they must have put into this to care about the voice acting direction to make it that good in the first place. So if I had to score it, I think I would go along the lines. I'm actually going to go a little bit higher because I think I'm a little further than Keem. I'm at an 8.5. Just because how impressed I am with how much they've done with this game. I do agree with Keem. I would love to see a second game in this franchise. I would love to see them. I hope that this game is a huge success for them so that they can keep making these, because if this is what you can do with your first try, you are capable of something truly special with your second attempt.
Yes.
Like everything I'm seeing here, I'm like, man, this is, if you could get the kind of leap like that, because this is definitely better than Assassin's Creed, which is always the one that you think of, like the Assassin's Creed 1 to 2 leap. You always think of that as like the ultimate from 1 to 2. This is a better game than AC1. But like, if you could get that kind of leap or even close to that kind of leap, it's like, man, you'd have an all-time classic in a second game that considerably upgraded on it. So
let me ask you this: do you think it could make the Kingdom Come kind of leap, where you had the first game, then you had Deliverance, where Deliverance just knocks it out of the park in terms of taking everything that was good about the first one and just making it substantially better?
Absolutely.
I mean, I think is so long as they have the budget for it, 100%. I think they could definitely make that kind of leap. There's a level of polish that they need to, keep refining the game, refining the look of the game, because like the face models are just bad. They're not good at all.
They're not good.
I've seen the game. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not. They're not. You could tell that they tried, but it's also like, all right, man. I would want to see another level to really push it. To really push this into like the 9-10 level, you would need to polish the facial features and facial animations a little bit more. I don't necessarily need like mocap or anything like that, but I would want something a little better looking than this. Maybe even you stylize it a little further, maybe make it a little bit more like a fairy tale and like a art piece, because I think that helps it stand out quite a bit. One thing I will say that I really liked about this game, and I'm gonna have to get into some basic synopsis type stuff without without spoilers, really. You open the game and they tell you that you've come to this land of Vahrin, and it's basically fallen. Like Keem said, it's basically fallen apart. And you show up as a mercenary. Like your goal is to just be a mercenary and see what kind of money you can make, see what kind of goals you can accomplish. And there's story stuff later on, like very early on. It's like, kind of just go do objective. And you hit a point later in the story where they finally give you an idea. I won't spoil that. They finally give you an idea of what's going on. But what's really cool about it is that you don't get to see this often, where it's like a lot of times they take you, like fantasy RPGs will take you to ruins. It's like, oh yeah, this was a great city centuries and millennia ago, and now it's been lost to time and blah blah blah. That's not what this is. This is a city state almost, where like shit went bad very recently, and you can see the recent remains of people. You can see the recent remains of like, okay, we had to like board this place up. We tried to like protect this place as good as we could. We had to get the fuck out of here really fast because things got bad really fast. Like, because they not only have certain mystical threats that you have to fight, but they also have like, they invited a group to hopefully come fix things. And that group was like, yeah, about that though. We here to make money and ransack the place. And so like they fucked things up and made it even worse. And so like it's interesting to see a world that's so recently abandoned, and in some places is not fully abandoned. There are still pockets of people trying to live their lives, even though it's a war-torn like city and things are kind of fucked up. And it's fascinating to see the dichotomy between those two things.
Yeah, I agree with that. And even like some of the quests that you lead on, they lend into that. Like there's an early quest where you're talking to a guy and his family left him. and he's kind of like trying to rebuild his life from that and kind of start over. There's a character who was affected by all the stuff that happened, but not on the way you would think. On the prevalence of drugs in the area kind of started coming up because of all the underbelly. When war happens, the poor and there's more poverty, other things start rising up, crime, drugs, things like that. And there's an aftermath effect of that too, and people were affected by that. That was a quest line. So yeah, I definitely agree with that. And it's crazy. Like it's so recent, Sage, you're walking in certain areas and there's a building still on fire.
Yes.
And they're like, there's a house. There's a lady's like, this was my house. And like, I know a lot of people say I should have left it, but this was my home. You'll never understand what this meant to me. I remember they're talking just around it. She didn't have no quest. She just sat there and you could see the house half slid off. And ironically, you could lead down and go underground and find something from there. But to your point, seeing a war-torn land in the middle, it kind of reminds me of Witcher 3, because you were in certain areas of Witcher 3 was just like that, where you're in the middle of a war and the aftermath. And I will say, when you coming in this era where like the dark fantasy games are leaning more towards the world was in ruins, you're seeing the aftermath of what used to be a stable society. Seeing it in progress is different. I really like that. You really see people trying to like scrounge and survive to figure out if things are okay, and people who are supposed to be leading them and helping them maybe don't have their best interests at heart. Maybe something's going on up there, and so yeah, I agree with you on that, Sage. That is very interesting.
And the other thing I'll agree with Keem on is like the dungeon exploration is insane. Like that was when I really turned around on this game, because at first,
me too,
I was like, this game's alright. Like I really didn't. I wasn't feeling anything strongly one way or the other. I was like, it's okay. Like it's not a huge disappointment, but it wasn't. It didn't feel like something that I felt like I was gonna need to come back to. And then you get to that first dungeon, and I'm like, damn, this is kind of big. And so I'm thinking I'm gonna find my way out of it pretty quickly. And an hour later, I'm like, no, I'm still in this bitch. And then 45 minutes later, I'm like, no, I'm lost. How the fuck do I get up out of this bitch? And so I'm like, wait a minute. And so eventually I just stopped for the night. I said, okay, I'll have to come back later. And I like, eventually I was in there so long, I leveled up a ton because you level up. That's one thing I'll say about this game. You level up fast as hell. Like I'm on chapter 5 or whatever, and I think I might be level 60 or whatever. And I'm not
level 44.
Is there a level cap?
I assume the level cap is 100.
Okay.
So an interesting thing about this game, as a little tangent, is that because you level up different skills differently, like you level up your bow or your sword or the ability to dual wield, and they all level up differently based on what you do in battle. Even though they level up, you have skill points that you put in from your personal, like the master level, so to speak. Like the skills level up and you level up. And when you level up, you get like skill points. And you can put the skill points into different skills different abilities that you have. So like the more you use bow, like if you use bow a bunch, it'll unlock new levels that you can then level up with skill points. And so like I imagine that the level cap is probably 99 to 100. Because I mean, like I'm at 60 and I'm still leveling up. Like I thought it would be 50, and they were like, "Nah, you good. You keep going." And you can also take off skills if you choose. Like you can deactivate, and I don't think there's a cost to respecking. That's effectively what it is. It's respecking.
No, there's no cost. You can deactivate.
Yeah, so you can just turn off skills and be like, I want to try something else. I want to play something different, which is really cool because it gives you the chance to experiment as much as you want. So you can just go and be like, hey, I want to be a mage, or hey, I want to be an archer and use traps, or hey, I want to just use like a giant hammer or whatever. Go ahead, Keen.
I was going to also point out another key point of that. If you look into this, when you assign the skill points in the skill system, if you look to the side, it also gives you your attribute points. So this is how you actually really improve your character. So leveling up the different skills, the more you level them up, the more attributes you can assign. And then you can, if you think about it logically, the things you're assigning to, they make sense. So if you want to improve your defense, your HP, armor. If you want to improve your attack, your weapon skills will improve your attack. You improve your magic skills. They improve your magic and your what's it called? Focus and what is it?
Focus, resistance, and
all that stuff. So it makes sense, and it allows you to kind of think about how you want to build your character towards certain stat growth progression. And I like it a lot. So it's intuitive. On top of the skill books as well, finding them aligning with that skill system, combining them together.
So that's one thing I'll say as like a criticism of this game, the skill books. So the skill books, rather than, you would think if someone says you can find a ton of skill books in the game, that would mean like, okay, you've got spells. Spells would fall under skills. And if you found a skill book, it would give you a new spell. Nah, you thought. That's not what's happening here. The skill books unlock what Keem said. Like sometimes it like the next level of a spell of the fire spell is like you cast the fire spells faster. And the skill book will unlock that. The skill book will unlock the ability to just gain more skills, but the skills are not spells, the skills are not techniques. You got to do other stuff for that. And so I've played, like I said, 17 hours of this game. And at first I was like, man, I hadn't unlocked any new spells at all. I was like, maybe these are the only spell, because I bought like you're given the fireball spell when you open the games, because it's, you have to have like they give you the ability to figure out like what you want to play as. And so like you're given the fireball spell, and then when you get to the game's main town, I think it's called South Vale Hamlet. When you get there, there's like a magician shop, and you can buy a healing spell, you can buy an ice spell and an earth spell. And I was like, maybe that's all the spells you get. And then I happened to open up some of the promotional material, and they showed like some spells, and I'm like, no, I ain't got that. Okay, so there's other spells in the game. And so I'm talking to Keem last night about the game, and he was like, yeah, I found this other spell where you can light people on fire. And immediately I'm like, I'm deeper into the game story-wise than Keem. And I'm like, oh, that's that spell that these characters was using on me. I'm like, holy crap, where is that? And he was like, oh, I don't know. I got it doing like some side quests. I'm like, oh man. So like
Yeah.
what you get, like what you would think you would get, you don't normally get. So like skill books don't give you new spells. Instead, you have to go do like side quests and other random stuff. You fight enemies, and that gives you spells. So
Yeah, you might get techniques, and some techniques give you like new offensive attacks. So I had when I got like a sword and shield, I was leveling that up, and I got a skill book for that that allows you to do a shield bash or something like that, like a lunging attack.
yeah,
The skill books definitely it's different. I will say this, because you find spells and skill books either by exploring or from side quests, it makes finding stuff more important. So you're looking extra hard. You're looking more. So it does lend itself more to the exploration, which I think this game's strong suit is. But I can't see why that would be a little. If you want to collect everything, like be a complete collector, I can see how they could be annoying. I'm not like that. I find what I find, and like what it is. So it works for
yeah.
me.
Well, here's the thing. It just go like I said, like looking up the skill books. Like most of the skill books I've found, and I found, I'd say maybe 15 or 20 out of the game so far. Like each area I'll go to, I tend to find at least half the skill books available. So like if there's 7 skill books, I'll try to find like 4 of them or something like that.
Yeah.
All the skill books I've found have not unlocked any new abilities. And the problem there is I'm like running deeper into the game just to see what's available. Just because I wanted to experience as much of the story as possible, so I'd have a good grasp of what the story was like, and I'll get into that in a second. But what that means is that I'm like halfway through the game, I assume, and I'm still using the basic fireball. I'm still using the basic ice needle. It's like, all right, man. And so like, not only is it's one thing if I was just exploring just to like try to find everything. That's not really what I wanted. I just wanted the ability to switch up my spells, to switch up the outfits and stuff like that. And so I think what I'm going to have to do, because Keem has been talking a lot about some of the side quests you can do. And I did a side quest just yesterday that involved me, like the bare bones of this is someone was locked in a cage and they were like, hey, can you help me get out? And I was like, sure. And interestingly enough, going back to the exploration thing, that meant going into a separate dungeon. And I was already in a dungeon because the game treats the city, parts of the city that have been abandoned, like dungeons.
It does.
Like, so as you go further into the game, it's like, it'll be like, hey, go over here. And it's like, that's a place infested with enemies, and you have to like survive the enemies and explore at the same time. And the exploration is not straightforward. Like some areas are, like we said, closed off. And so you have to find an alternate place to go around and find places. And so like, I was already in a dungeon, and then this person was like, hey, can you go find this? And so that led me into a separate actual dungeon. And so I had to go deep into that dungeon to find like a key to get them out. And then when I finally got them out, they gave me my second fire spell, and I'm like 17 hours in. I'm like, holy shit. And so that made me go, maybe I need to go and play some more side quests and see if I can unlock some more different spells and items and stuff like that.
Yeah, I remember when we talked, Sage, I did the complete opposite of you. Because what I did, I was doing what you were doing, and I think I just went back to do one side quest. And what happened was that side quest led me to a random cave where I went in, got something. Then I went back and did another side. I just kept looping. And eventually I just like, you know what? Let me just explore the whole area. And I was going back to like, even near the beginning of the game, stuff I had missed because I beeline straight to the main city. There was plenty of content, secret chests, side bosses, bounties to do. And once I started doing all of those, I got way more spells. I already have like 3 fire spells. I have multiple earth spells, multiple ice spells. I got some alteration stuff. I got a healing spell. And of course the alchemy is pretty, you can make those potions. The alchemy is actually pretty easy. It's one of the easiest systems I've ever used. And it's, as you level it up, you can make your potions better and you make them stronger, and you can make combinations of different stat boosts, and you can give it its own name, which is kind of cool. I like that. Make custom potions.
That's one thing I really like about this game. Like, there's so much customization, but sometimes with customization, games and customization, it'll be like, hey, you need to collect 4 of this, 5 of this, and 3 of this. And one of those things that you need to collect is incredibly hard to find. And so you just ignore it, and you're like, I'll get back to it later. and then it's 20 hours in, and you're like, I never did bother to level that up, and you just stop caring. This game isn't like that. Like, there's an abundance of resources everywhere. There is no encumbrance. Like, the only encumbrance is if you put on armor that's just too heavy for you, then you start to move slower. You start to have like a slow roll, like that type of thing. But like, other than that, like, there's no, like, you can gather as much crap as you want and take it back to like the city. You can dismantle the stuff that's useful, sell the stuff that's not, and then you can pretty much just level up whatever you want pretty easily. And so I did like that. I love the fact that it's that easy to do, because a lot of times, like, they have all this stuff in customization, but because you have this deep customization, but because it's so hard to get the materials necessary to find, to like actually level up, it's like, oh, I'm not going to bother with this. I just leave the system
I have
alone
definitely
entirely.
experienced that before, where you and a lot of games will do is they'll kind of they'll soft cap you, because they'll cut off. All right, you got the resources for this level, but and this game has that, but it's not hard to get the next level. And in fact, like, you get so many resources and you can deconstruct them. There's a quest I do sometime. I did like at one point where I had to get a bunch of resources for this person to make me a weapon, and I was like, man, how am I gonna get all this? And I looked at my items and I was like, oh, I already got all this. I just deconstructed like 3 or 4 items, and I was like, I already got it. I thought it was gonna take forever. This took like 5 minutes. I went ahead and did that. Ironically, if you do run into this quest, I don't know if you have. This is a hilarious quest to me, because you find out the person may have duped you for those items. You do get a cool weapon, but it's not the weapon you think it is. I will say that.
So now I'm inspired to go back, and like everything you said makes me want to go back and go and actually do those side quests, because I was doing the exploration, but all I was doing was looking for chests and looking for skill books. I didn't really do anything else, and then looking for those stupid gnomes.
Oh yeah.
This is a little side thing. Like, they just put this in here as like a laugh. I think it is a side quest in the game. Like, you run into a guy, and he basically asks if you can go wipe out. Like, I don't even know if he asks you to wipe out the gnomes, but it becomes a task that you can do. And then, like, you'll be wandering around the world, and all of a sudden you'll just hear these creepy ass laughs. Just you'll just hear that. Somewhere. And you'll just be like, what the fuck is that? And you just have to look around the map, and it can be anywhere. Like, sometimes, like, one of them I found, he was like, I heard the laugh, and I was like, what the fuck is that? And I like couldn't find it at first, came back to that area for some reason or other. And then I like looked up, and he was like, it was like a little tiny gnome that was just standing. It's like a clay gnome, like, literally. They call them Ganymedes or whatever. And it's just, it's just sitting on top of a fucking tower. And so I just pulled out my arrow, shot it, and blew it up. And it's like, oh, okay. And so, like, it just challenges you to constantly pay attention to your surroundings, because you don't know where you might find the next item or thing like that. Because there's no mini map in this game. It's just like there's a regular map to kind of give you a guidepost, like, okay, here's where you're going. Here's where you need to go next. But there's no mini map. There's no classic Ubisoft select this on a map, go to the next point of interest. There's none of that. Which, I mean, like, if I'm being honest, I would have kind of liked that, or at least like the option to turn that on to try and get through a little bit more of this. But I mean, like, it's cool to just go around and explore it. And I mean, like, if you're a person that likes to be able to get lost and just find things naturally, this is the game for you, for sure.
Absolutely. And I want to point to a task you talked about, the Ganymedes earlier, and like having them hard to find. I want to also talk about, like, with the side quests or some of the quests in town. A lot of stuff in town will feel like, oh, I got to come back to this. But actually, it's like you just got to look a little harder. I found a quest where I knocked on the dude's door and he said, get away. And then I snuck behind the house and found the door, a way to get in there. He was like, oh, man. And then I got a side quest out of it. And that side quest led to one of my favorite side quests I played in the game, where you got to fight a bunch of those rat creatures while you're drunk. And that was hilarious. That was hilarious. I love that. And then you're hearing voices, like the rats talking to you and shit. It was really cool. Like, you're in an arena, but it's actually a bar. It's a really cool side quest. I really like that one.
I'm missing out on a lot. I really am gonna have to go back and just.
It does sound like this is side quest the game, where you really get a lot out of just exploring the world and just kind of like pissing around, so to speak.
If you play this game, I will say,
Go ahead.
In general, I'm sorry. If you're playing this game in general, I would say the stuff is there for a reason. So if you see something that's kind of like weird, go take another look at it. You might find something special. That's what I would say.
That is one of the reasons why I love games like this. Like I've always, I won't say always, but like I think since going back to like Kingdoms of Amalur, which this is kind of reminiscent of in a way. It doesn't have quite the addicting
RIP.
combat, but I know, right? R.I.P. Kingdoms of Amalur. R.I.P. the real one. This does have like the side quest and the world, like the lore and stuff like that. Speaking of, there's a lot of lore out if you care to look for it. Like there's a lot of different letters and things like that, notes that you can find that will explain certain parts of the city, what happened in this particular area, what happened to these people. Like it hints at a lot more. And if you even go, like, you don't even have to, like, this isn't even a spoiler. You can go on their Steam page or you can look at some of the stuff. Like, they clearly want to expand this world beyond what you've seen here. There's clearly like an intention to show you like a larger. I hesitate to put this on this because it's kind of, this is a lot of pressure. They clearly want to do like the Trails thing where it's like, okay, this is the story of this area, and then with the next game we're going to show you the story of the next area and give you like this entire connected country or world. And I like that. Like, I feel like there's a lot of room. Trails does that, but I don't think anybody else has ever even tried.
Elder Scrolls does the region thing in each game because each game is just a different region of the overall world. So that's the closest one in a Western RPG setting. But as far as connectivity of the world to expanding it, only Trails has really done that to me, to my knowledge.
That's I mean, like
maybe Xenoblade. I don't know.
Yes. Without spoiling anything in Xenoblade, 100%. It is not what you think it is, but 100%. But yeah, I mean, like I have been, everything about this game has stunned me, other than like, you know, the combat being kind of rote. But I mean, even that can be leveled up. Like, they can definitely, that's something that's easy. I hesitate to say easily, but like I can definitely see them improving massively on in a sequel. So.
Let me ask you this, something that we haven't hit on just yet. How is the character customization? Like, is it robust? Can I, for example, like make myself or something close enough to it? I know it's an indie RPG, but you know, what kind of levels are we looking at here?
I wouldn't call it robust. This is a pretty straightforward. How many hairstyles do you remember there were? Like, you can make your character, but it's not that.
It's a few, crazy. But I mean, like, it's.
Yeah.
You know, it's interesting. I breezed through the customization so quickly because I just wanted to get in and play and see what it was like that I don't remember a lot of it. I just made like a little black chick with like purple hair and purple eyes. That's always my signature. Like, my characters always have like purple eyes for some reason. I don't know why.
Oh, I got you.
But I just breezed through it and just made this character. And then, like, as far as customization goes, there's some. Don't go expecting no Black Desert Online type customization. No. Like, you can forget that. It's not going to be like, I know Capcom is really good with customization in some of their games. It's not to that extent. It's some light slider work that you can do, and you can make your character look, if I remember correctly, they did allow you to make your character old if you wanted to make them look old. So there's stuff like that. You can make your character fat if you want to do that, like skinny, super tall, like that kind of stuff.
Do they have different voice options? Well, does your character speak at all?
No.
Okay.
Like, and it's weird too. Like, sometimes because not only is your character not voiced, your character still has dialogue, and so sometimes you'll be in places and they'll be like everything else is fully voiced, and so they'll be talking and telling you shit, and then all of a sudden, like, if you're not careful and you're like pressing X or pressing A to like get to the next line of dialogue, it'll go right through your line of dialogue and you won't see shit because there's no voice there. So it's just like, hey, it said some stuff and then whoop. And you're like, holy fuck. Like, I definitely saw that the other day and I was like, oh, I got to be careful with this.
And this is not a dialogue tree style game either. You know, like some RPGs are like heavily in dialogue trees, and it's not that. It's more straightforward. Like I said, this leans more into like the more, like I said, Fable. What was that game that got re-released last month? That old school RPG. Dang it, I can't remember the name off the top of my head. The one that came back after all these like 20 years or something like that.
Oh shit, Gothic.
like gothic. I think it leans more towards that style than like the Baldur's Gates. No, nothing like not like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would say as far as customization, that is a weakness. I would say that still leaves me desire. It is serviceable. And if you ever play like a Souls game, like especially the early ones, it reminds me of that because everybody knows that like the one weakness of Souls games is that their customization for characters is mid.
Yeah.
You better see your character though because you have so much armor and equipment that you hardly see them. And in this game, I put on so much armor. I just got an armor set last night. I was so happy. I was like, oh yeah, I'm rocking this for a while. It doesn't really bother me once I got my character decked out in cool costumes. I think the amount of armor and weapon customization makes me not think about the character customization as much. If it was more of a game like Divinity 2 or Baldur's Gate or those style of RPGs, I think I would care a little more.
Yeah, because it's not like there's any romance elements or anything that would let you want to focus on like how your character looks or anything like that. It's really more like you getting into it. Like there are characters you talk to like give you new quests and stuff like that. But other than that, it's just like you get into business, killing people, taking out enemies and stuff like that.
Very
Keem, let me ask. Very much so. Yeah. Let me ask you this, man.
Yes, sir.
How do you feel without going into spoilers about the story?
Where I'm at, I just feel like it's just I haven't gotten as far as you, but as far as I've gotten, I think I've gotten chapter 5 now. It has been kind of just directing you in one direction. I think in the beginning, and this isn't too spoilerish, you're with a specific group who's trying to, help the people out, and they're going through their own troubles and tribulations as well. You're kind of following
at first,
them.
You barely kind of with them. Like they just like, oh, you came here, another mercenary, huh? Like, hey man, I mean, I don't like your odds. Like all these mercenaries keep showing up and dying. So I mean, like, if you want to try, I guess I really would tell you to take your ass home, though.
That's true. Yeah, it almost feels like because your character has such little dialogue, it almost feels like I'm experiencing their story instead of experiencing my own story. So far, it's just I have enjoyed the game way more on the exploration side than the story side so far as I've played. So I think the story to me is just kind of there. I would say that if that's a criticism, that the story is not, at least to the point I've played, 14 hours in, has not driven me. The gameplay itself has driven me to really want to play more. So yeah, I'll say the story is just it's there. It's there. It exists.
Are there any like reoccurring characters that you get to like get attached to? Of course, avoiding spoilers, but are there any characters that you see throughout the game that you find yourself being like, oh, I like this guy or this woman, this person, whatever?
There are 100% recurring characters. As far as like liking them or disliking them, I'm not that strong on them. I do feel like there's one character in particular that you meet fairly early on, and I almost felt like, man, it kind of should have just been their story. Like I should have just been this character, and because they have more personality and they do get more lines of dialogue compared to you, who basically, you barely talk at all.
Yeah,
as far as how I feel about the story, because like I said, at first there is no story. At first it's just complete some dialogue, complete some objectives, and then finally you meet like like one of the recurring characters, and they're just barely trying to keep everything together, and then they give you a mission. They're like, hey, well, if you think you can survive, go do this and see what happens, and you go do it, and they're like, holy shit, you lived, congratulations. You try this now, and you keep trying stuff. And as you try stuff, eventually they finally clue you in on why everything's so shit. Right around like I think like chapter 4-ish, they finally clue you in on like why everything's so shit and what has gone wrong and what could possibly be a step to fix it. And you're like, oh, okay, I can go do this. And that's around the time they introduce you to more of a cast. You finally get a chance to meet some of the knights of the area and stuff like that, and you finally like get a chance to get to know them, and you're like, oh, okay, I guess I should do this. And when I stopped, I was like trying to get a MacGuffin, basically, go get like the special item to help you do what's necessary to save Vahrin in as much as it can be saved. And I liked what they were doing. I was starting to get invested in the story, but it's still early days, and there's still chances for it to just be like, oh, okay, that's all you had for me. I feel like the big weakness is that it probably should have been giving me more story early on instead of just being like, go here, do this for the first 10 hours or something like that. So
yeah, it is kind of like you said, you are kind of herded in a direction with the story. That's why I like really enjoy going off and doing my own thing. I felt like that was just more endearing and more interesting. And as I got more powerful, I went back to the story to continue that. And then the one thing I did like about the story, you guys know this, a lot of times with RPGs, the game is the exploration and moving about the environments, and the story is more like set pieces and linear direction, which is why a lot of gamers these days kind of driven off by the story because they feel like the meat of the game is stronger in the exploration. With this game, the dungeons are so good, and those are like the main dungeons are like story based. You got to go through them for the story. I actually like doing the dungeons a lot. So I'm like, I don't really need a reason to do the dungeons. They're so good. They're so well designed. I want to go do them. Just tell me where to go, and I'll go do the dungeon. But yeah, I would agree, Terrence. That would be a legitimate criticism. Like the characters themselves don't draw me in as much. There's no Baldur's Gate cast here.
If anything, it sounds more like the characters in the side quests are more interesting than the characters in the main quest.
They are. I would say like the side quests give a lot more personality to the world as a whole, and you learn so much more about the world and the inhabitants and them surviving in struggle through the things that happen. Some unfortunate events that happen. Sometimes some stupid stuff that didn't have to happen, and you figure it out.
I mean,
that stuff. Yeah,
I'm all about side quests filling out the world and making an otherwise kind of uninteresting world or just mediocre as far as like how interesting it is. I'm all about like Xenoblade X. Like people are like, oh man, the main story of that game was trash. I'm like, man, them side quests was fire, so I don't really care what the main quests talk about. I go back and play them side quests all over again, boy.
I definitely have played RPGs where I'm like, I mean, Elder Scrolls is a great example. Like the main story of Elder Scrolls is epic, but the side content is so much more meaty and interesting and so many more. I was playing Elder Scrolls like just a month or two ago, and I was having so much fun doing the werewolf quest line again, and doing the companions quests and like those old school type of.
That is one thing I would love to see in a potential sequel of this game. Factions and faction quests, because right now it's just like you're just a guy or you're just a girl, like just a merc. And it's just, hey man, go out there and figure it out. See what you can see. And I'm like, man, and you do ally with a group, but it's just like that's the only group as far as I've seen. And it may be deeper into the game. Maybe they offer some other stuff because there are.
I mean, there's another group that just villains.
Where I am, there's a new group that they introduced.
Oh, okay.
But some unfortunate things have happened to them. And they're not exactly in the position for you to ally yourself with them. But yeah, I mean, like, you're right. Like, as far as like early on in the game, there's only two groups, and it does feel like. Let me ask you this: as we wind this down, how much more story do you feel like there is?
I felt like I was halfway when I was playing.
I feel like I'm maybe
15
at the
more hours.
Point. Yeah.
I feel like about 15 more hours. This feels like a very concise. It's an open world game, but it's not in the scope of like a bigger one. So when you're playing it, you're like, okay, you look at that map, you look at the whole map, and like, okay, this is like you said, a city state. So this is like one region.
Yeah.
So like 30 hours feels like right, and I think this game for people who enjoy these games is probably going to be very replayable for them to go back and try different builds and maybe go back and get things they missed the first time. So I think I'm about halfway where it's what it feels like though, like to me.
That's about how I feel about it as well. I'm to the point now where I'm like, man, like they've given me something of a goal to shoot for, of like a villain to go to beat up, right? And so I'm like, how much work would it take for me to be able to actually go beat up this villain? And they like the MacGuffin quest, like, hey, go get this MacGuffin. That was part of it, and now it's like, okay, well, now what would it take? What would I have to go do to be able to actually go fight the villain? And I'm like, I feel like I'm right around the halfway point, like maybe somewhere between 45 and 55% of the main storyline. I'm in chapter 5. If you told me it ran another 5 chapters, I'd be like, sounds about right.
Yeah.
And then like as far as side quests go, like I think, and that's the thing. After we finish this review up and I get back to this game, I don't think I'm gonna be doing more main quest stuff for a while. I do think I'm gonna do what Rajhkeem did early on and just do a bunch of side missions and pick up a bunch of quests, like a bunch of items and like stuff like that, and maybe level up some new weapons and experiment a little more, because this game really is great about encouraging experimentation and just having like different spells and shit and figuring out like the ults. Because like the other thing I'll say before we close out, man, the bosses put you on your ass if you ain't ready for them.
I did want to ask you all about the bosses. Like, are the bosses good in this game? Like, are they something to look forward to?
Okay.
Like, are they
They're
like
okay.
the highlights?
Yeah,
they're solid.
I mean, like, go ahead, Sage. You go first.
They're not super crazy, but like if you're not ready for them, they will beat the shit out of you. Like, I'm just let you know right now. Like, if you walk in there, you like, oh man, this is light work. No, it ain't. In fact, on the last boss, as I was just like trying to beat it just to get so that I put that bitch on easy and it was still whooping my ass. I was like, okay, hold on, bro. Like, I tried to fight it like 3 times. It beat me 3 times. I said, okay, I need to get past this so I can see the next story beat, so I can at least have a better idea of the story, better grasp of the story for the review. And I put it on easy, and it was like, that's cool. Run them hands. And I'm like, oh, okay. There are some interesting design. Like, one of the enemies, like the first time you know it's real is like an enemy that later becomes just a regular roaming the grounds type guy, and he's not nothing to be played with. But then like there's a later enemy that's kind of generic. Like, I feel like that one, like, they could have stood to put a little bit more time and effort writing that character. Like, they talk about him a little bit, they kind of build him up, and then you explore the dungeon, and like you don't really hear anything else from him, although you do hear some pretty interesting barks from like the characters, like the other enemies, as they talk about like, man, we've been doing some fucked up shit around here. Before they try to charge you and kill you, but they like, hey man, I kind of regret what I've been doing.
Oh man, that's a good point, Sage. If you can listen to the villain dialogue, you'll learn about them. The random villains you just kill. They're just talking like, man, this is my last. I got my mama owe this money. I'm just doing this to pay it off.
Yep.
Or like, man, I really don't want to be ransacking villages, but shit, I gotta eat. Shit like that.
Or like, man, these corpses smell awful, man. Like, I understand they dead, but do they gotta smell something? It's all types of. They give you all types of personality to the enemies that you fight.
Oh yeah.
Sometimes even more personality than the bosses, low key. So.
Yes. Unfortunately, I know exactly what boss you're talking about. If you're talking about the boss I'm thinking, and yeah, that villain should have been a bigger deal because they were like the leader of a specific group, right? And they talked about them a lot, and they just had that fight, and that was it. And I was like, oh, okay.
A couple of lines of dialogue, and then he was like, square up, and he put you on your ass. Now, if you're not ready for him, he will put you on your ass. I played him. I had to fight that dude multiple times. But as far as like the regular difficulty, it's not that hard. Like, as long as you're paying attention, as long as you like you have to watch your surroundings, because like Keem said, they will swarm the fuck out of you. And if you're not ready for it, you have animations. It's not like your healing isn't instant. So like you can't just you have stamina, so there's only so much blocking you can do. So you just have to pay attention to your surroundings. But if you do, it's not hard at all on normal. I haven't tried a higher difficulty. The bosses are the ones that will really put you on your ass if you're not really prepped for them. If you don't know what you're doing, you don't have a plan, you got to learn their patterns, all that type shit. But yeah, I mean, like, the difficulty is high enough. Like, if you want a challenge, they got one for you.
Oh yeah, they have multiple difficulty settings as well. It goes from easy to, I believe, insane. I played on normal
or some shit.
And the bosses specifically, they're more pattern recognition. They feel kind of like if you play a Souls game at all, it reminds you of those, but not nearly as difficult. If you've played like Elden Ring or Dark Souls or Kazan or Lies of P, these will be a cakewalk compared to those. But like Sage said, you still have to do pattern recognition. You can't just attack nearly willy-nilly on certain enemies. You gotta know what to look for, and like, for instance, what was one enemy I had a heavy weapon build that I used throughout the game, and I ran to an enemy who was resistant against weapons. He had a big shield. I couldn't do nothing with it. So I switched to magic, and magic worked perfectly. So you might have to switch strategy up on certain enemies. In this game, you have a dodge, and you can spot dodge. So there's certain patterns of attacks. If you time them perfectly, you can spot dodge in place and dodge an attack or dodge to the side or something like that. Of course, you can parry if you time it just right. There are ways to expand the parry window if you lean into shields and shield leveling up, so you can make your parries easier. So there's ways to improve and make the combat easier that way. But overall, the difficulty feels just like and I think for this type of game that's not trying really to be a Souls game, it's more of a taking some elements of Souls games, mixing with like old school Western RPGs. The pace of the game benefits from not having to retry a boss fight 50 times. Because like this game's the exploration is the king. And as you're exploring, since you're not dying every 5 minutes, your exploration as you're going through caves or going through the world is smoother. And I think as a result, your pace is smoother. The game feels better. If I died on the first boss 80 times, or every enemy leading up to the boss in these huge dungeons was killing me around the corner, I'd have a much harder time with that pace, and I might not enjoy the game as much. But I think for what it is on normal, at least, it's easy, but it improves the pace, and the boss fights give you enough of a challenge. Now, if you want more difficulty, they are higher difficulty levels. I have not tested insane or hard yet. If I get through this playthrough and I want to try harder, I was thinking about maybe moving it hard at some point. I might see if that's worth trying. Maybe buff the enemies up, make them more aggressive or something like that. Yeah, overall, average gamer should have no problem playing this.
100%. Any last questions before we close out, Terrence?
What is the music and sound? I know we talked about the voice acting in this game, but how is the music and sound design outside of that? Is it anything noteworthy, or is it kind of like standard Western RPG fare?
Probably the weakest part of the game for me is the music. Like the music doesn't move me at all. Like at no point am I like I heard one theme in the latest dungeon that I went to that I liked a lot. I can't spoil the name. That's part of the embargo. But like that one, when I got to that area, I said, oh, man, this theme is kind of hidden. The rest of it is just atmospheric, that type shit.
Yeah.
It's the battle theme don't move you at all. Like,
yeah, I will say I agree with Sage to that degree. The music is more ambiance and like, keeping you in the world type thing, where it doesn't take the lead away from you. Some games like, back in the day, you played, well, not back in the day, but in the Doom trilogy, Mick Gordon, when he was still a part of the Doom trilogy, his music was so good. People talk about it to this day. They're still upset he's not a part of the most recent Doom game.
Yeah.
You're not gonna get that here. It's not that type of experience. In fact, I would actually, this ain't bold, but I want to challenge Western developers to try more variants with their music. Like, I get we want the emergence in the game, your how you feel in the game to feel like it is, but y'all need to take it. Y'all got to try a little something extra. There's a little oomph. Put an orchestra in there, like Elder Scrolls or Skyrim or something. Like, I wish this game isn't a game that has like a theme song that makes you like, oh man, there's no Dovahkiin song here. There's no Final Fantasy battle theme here or anything like that. It's just, it's par for the course type of music you usually expect. I want more message developers to try this a little bit different.
100%.
I don't care what it is. Throw some jazz in there if you want to. I don't care. Try something different, man.
Something like, I don't really care if it quote unquote fits, as long as it's good. If it's good, I won't be like, oh, okay, and that adds a little something extra. It puts your game over the top. Because the music I was listening to, I'm like, yeah, you about to keep all of this. Like, that was actually I'm glad you brought it up, Terrence, because that was the one big actual criticism I have of this game. Like, all the rest of the stuff, I can kind of overlook. But I've seen indie games come out with some great soundtracks before, and this ain't that. It's not like terrible, but it's just forgettable. Like, it's just, at no point did I ever, like, I was playing this game sometimes while I was watching certain podcasts, and at no point did I ever feel like, man, I'm missing out on some great themes. But I was like, no, this better this way. Like, it's better to have somebody talking in the background, and I'd rather like risk being surprise attacked by an enemy than have to listen to just like generic atmospheric background music that don't really move you at all. So
yeah. And it's not thematic enough where, you have a theme that's like really sticks from the beginning to the end. I'll say like, like when I play Final Fantasy 16, the Final Fantasy 16 theme from the beginning to the end is remixed in so many different ways, and you get to the end of the game, and it's kind of like an epic climax, and it puts that song there, and that song is still in my head to this day because it was like a through line throughout the whole game, and it made such an impact. Yeah, this doesn't really have that, and that's one of those things where I talked about earlier. This game has room to improve, and I think if there was a sequel, those are things they could clean up more. Like, yes, the sound design is supposed to be ambiotic, but you also want music that moves people too when they're playing. Yes, the game is strong on exploration, but I also want characters that I care about as well to cling to. Those things also matter. And yeah, the combat is serviceable, but like even more impactful combat would have me even more hooked on the game than I already am. I'm used to the old school RPGs from back in the day. RPG combat used to just be bad. Like,
yeah,
we grew up in an era where it was just bad. Like, we grew up. Now we have kids these days. They playing RPGs with more complex battle systems than DMC. So the world has changed a lot. So, but yeah, some things I would like to improve upon. And going back to the original point, the music is definitely one of them. Because as you were talking, I was trying to think of the music, and I couldn't think of the music. That was already the problem. Like, that's the worst problem you can have, is to have music and I can't even think of. Like, when I want to hear music, there's some games I want to get the soundtrack because I want to listen to that music in my car.
Yeah,
because it's that good.
Mm-hmm.
I know you guys, the Supergiant, the Hades developers, every game they make, every soundtrack,
absolutely
fire, flames.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I bet you they're making a ton of money just off soundtrack sales. They soundtracks are off the chain.
And see, that's an example of a Western developer. So it ain't always got to be like Japanese developers that have great music. Like, there are Western developers that can do great music. So that just has to be something that you prioritize. It can't be something that you just like, oh, we'll see about it. And I don't know the amount of work that went in. Like, maybe a lot of work went in, but the direction that you went for the music, I would suggest a different one just to see what you can get out of this. Like, to give a different vibe to your game. So
yeah. And even in the same genre, like you talk about Amalur earlier, I remember Amalur's soundtrack. It was very specific to Amalur. The fairy tale feel. Like, everything about Amalur was fairy tale. The graphics, the music design, but even Amalur's music was more memorable.
This is close to a fairy tale, except sometimes Amalur had this too, because like you would do so many side quests, because I'm about to talk about how dark the game can get. Amalur would have this too, like you do a side quest, it's like, can you find so and so, and eventually you got to the point you were like, they did. I can tell you before I even finished side quest, they did. And this game has some strong fairy tale vibes, and then you'll be walking into a city and you'll see a dude impaled on the city fence or whatever, and you're like, holy fuck, that guy's dead as
bodies
shit.
Hung.
Like, just bodies hung and splayed out and shit. You're like, God, they're like with the city fence just sticking through them. You like, good heavens, like this place
people flayed alive and shit, man.
Blood everywhere, blood splat. It is surprisingly fantastical looking for a game that has so much darkness that is going on in it. I'm kind of impressed at how they managed to balance the two and keep like such a bright color palette while also being such a dark game. So,
and that goes back to the environmental storytelling. Because I remember, like I told you about, like I had a quest line with one character, but there was a moment where I was in the world and I was walking past the butcher shop and I saw a blood trail leading to the basement. I'm like, I wonder where that's going. And that did lead to somewhere later once I found out what to do. But that gave me context clues. There's a lot of those like context clues of dark stuff going on in the world to pay attention to that might even lead to quest lines down the road.
Yep, I'm definitely going back, and we're gonna put another couple of hours into this and just side quests alone and see what we can see what it takes me, man. But all right, man, that's gonna wrap this week's episode up. Are you looking forward to Forsaken Realms Vahrin's Call? Y'all let us know in the comments below. Be on the lookout for something else special from us later this week. And next Monday, we will see you guys with all the games coming out in August. But until then, I need you to do me a few favors. If you like this episode, hit that like button. If you're new here, hit the subscribe button. And do me a personal favor. From me to you, have an excellent week. Peace.